guys, welcome to my channel Mental Skills and Weightlifting by Mona. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the biggest mistakes that coaches make when they introduce mental skills into their training of their athletes. Just like to tell you a little bit about myself. I have an honors degree in sports psychology as well as an honors certificate in mindfulness training. I have been an elite level athlete for over 21 years in weightlifting, karate, and I was a CrossFit Games athlete. So I want to share with you my experience as both a coach and an athlete to give you guys the best tips and advice out there so that you can not just help yourselves but your athletes as well. As a coach, we often don't realize how much of an effect we can have on not just on athletes' performance but on our athletes' lives as well. So we need to take this role as coaches very seriously and know that, what are the things that we need to do as coaches to not just help our athletes succeed in sport but in life as well. So as coaches, we also need to realize that when it comes to mental skills, you need to train your mental skills just like how you would train your physical skills. So if you had to train 5 or 6 times a week on your physical skills in your sport, you need to do exactly the same with your mental skills training in order to succeed. The second thing that's really important is to understand that there's not one size fits all when it comes to mental skills training. So what I mean by that is not all the skills will suit all the athletes. So it's very important to make sure and to realize which of the skills works for your athletes. For some athletes, visualization might be a huge tool for them in order to be able to see their performance, be able to perform at their best level. But for others, visualization might cause anxiety. It might actually be causing the athlete to not perform at their best. So it's important to find out or figure out which of these tools actually help your athlete and which of these tools harm your athlete. Another point to consider as a coach, we cannot be inconsistent with teaching our athletes. So for example, if we had to just introduce a skill every now and again to an athlete, obviously the athlete will not be able to master that skill. It's also very important to realize that you cannot just introduce mental skills training the day before a competition or the day of a competition. This could actually cause more harm to the athlete's performance than actually benefit them and help them succeed. So it's very important to realize, like I said earlier, you have to train your mental skills the same way as what you would train your physical skills. So you have to be consistent with your training if you want your athlete to do better with imagery work, visualization, or breathing work, because maybe your athlete is dealing with anxiety. It's important to make sure that they do that throughout their whole training cycle to see if this actually helps the athlete and helps the athlete perform better. I'm also a really big believer in telling the athletes why I'm teaching them certain things so that they can have a deeper understanding of why I'm trying to teach them these certain physical or mental skills. So always make sure to explain to your athletes why you think it's important for them to do goal setting, why you think it's important for them to do self-talk, so that they can actually understand the deeper meaning and they will actually have more of an understanding of why you want them to train these skills and not just train to train and have the athlete not put as much effort into those skills. So just like with your physical skills, you would often explain why you do certain drills. You would do exactly the same thing with your mental skills. So remember to explain to your athletes just exactly what your methodology or reason is behind you wanting them to learn certain skills. One thing that's also important when you teach the athlete mental skills is to not just set the athlete up for success, but to also put them in situations of discomfort so that they can already from the beginning know which tools and skills to reach out for when certain scenarios happen. So maybe there is a stressful situation that happens, like the athlete will know to focus on breathing. Maybe the athlete will focus on bringing their attention to the task at hand. or having certain words that they use in order for them to do some positive self-talk in their mind if maybe some negative thoughts come in. So it's very important to also put the athlete into those scenarios so that they can know what to do when things always don't, or when things don't always go to plan. Another thing that's super important is to collect feedback from your athletes. So when you teach them mental skills, don't just throw a whole bunch of skills at them and expect them to learn them like a parrot. It's important to find out how they are reacting to those mental skills, what they think is working for them, what they think is not working. Another big mistake that coaches make when it comes to teaching their athletes mental skills is not collecting feedback. Now, it's so important to make sure that you and the athlete are on the same page the whole time. That's the only way that you are going to get the best out of your athlete, and your athlete will also have the best trust with you as a coach. So when you teach your athletes certain mental skills, or you tell them to practice self-talk, and you've now gone and explained to them what your reasoning is behind why they should learn self-talk or visualization, and you've done this for a whole season, make sure also during the season to ask your athlete, how is the visualization training going for them? Does it work for them? What do they think could work for them even more? What are their thoughts behind it? Just what are their feelings behind learning these mental skills, so that you can also understand as a coach, what is working for your athletes and what is not working for your athletes. In order to do that, you need to sit the athlete down and you need to constantly get feedback. So I think as a coach, it's always very important to make sure that you and the athlete are on the same page, so that when it comes to a competition time, you know exactly as the coach what to tell the athlete with both their physical skills and their mental skills, in order to help them to get the best out of their performance. So remember guys, every athlete out there is different. So what might work for the one athlete might not work for the other athlete. So you need to figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you. You need to continue practicing it in order to see if it's working for you or not. A great way for you to actually do this whole mental skills training and actually see how you're progressing is to have a mental skills journal. I have had a training journal my whole life as an athlete, and I would normally write my goals at the back of my journal and my action plan on how I will get there, as well as my short-term goals, things I need to work on. And it's always very important to make sure that you track your progress with both, like I said, your physical skills and your mental skills. So by having that mental skills journey or journal, you can now go and document what works for you, what doesn't, and this is especially important if you want to take your game to the next. Guys, I'd love to know in the comments below what mental skill has helped you the most as an athlete. So comment below. Also, if you like this video, please give it some love, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, ring that notification bell so that you know when I'm releasing new videos.